No Doubter Nation, it is week 18 of Major League Baseball action, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about tonight. Because as the races continue on here across all the divisions of the American League and the National League, some big time storylines are coming out of the sport right now. In terms of how players' health is looking, heading here down the stretch into the playoffs. But then also some big time personnel moves being made as well here, notably by one team, the team of which I'm wearing the hat of right now here. Of if you're watching our YouTube stream of this right now, yeah, we're going to talk about the latest developments here within the Texas Rangers. We're going to talk about Fernando Tatis's 80 game suspension.
Yeah,
The Field of Dream games that just happened this past week. Joey Votto's health as of right now. Some big time news to talk about here in the world of baseball. Before we get any further, I'm your co-host Travis T-Bone Lawfully with my right-hand man, Mr. Barrett Boom Bostic, as always. Boom, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Some weeks are light, but this week there is no shortage of bombshells to talk about in the world of baseball. So much has happened, and it hits close to home for you. So I'm very interested to hear your thoughts about it. But we will save that for later. It's just another good night of baseball. It's just we got basically a month and a half left, and we're gonna talk about it towards the end. But these leads, it's like do or die for these teams. And I know there's plenty of playoff teams to go around, plenty of spots, but
and no lead is safe right now in
seriously
any division. Like there's some there's some races that are starting to heat up here. Even if it's not division races, wild card races, how that's going to turn out. Like teams getting streaky in either the right or the wrong direction right now. It all matters at this time of year, just the way the season is played out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But before we do that, we are going to participate in our favorite segment, which is Pour and Score. And this is an extra special one because very rarely do we have the same beverage. We've pretty much all the times we've had it, we've been recording in the same place, which we have done a few times. Our first 4 episodes, we recorded in the same room. And the Lance Harvey interview was our only in-person interview we've done to date.
Yeah. So, and like we've had a few times here and there where we've had the same beverage, but it has been a hot minute since that has happened.
Yes.
So it's about time that we return to it again.
Yes, so it's going to be a hyphenated version of Pour and Score, but this is extra special. But I just have to give the backstory. We had on Mason Hall on the show. We interviewed him. He is the host of the Loaded Bases podcast. He's had a lot of great guests on there. Y'all should definitely check it out. Jessica Kleinschmidt.
He's had Dallas Braden on there. He's had a lot of
Zach Hampel.
Really good characters.
Definitely check out the show. Well, we had him on our show, and we did Pour and Score, and he tried out a beer from Bale Breaker Brewery in Washington State. I reached out to them like I do with all my other times we do Pour and Score, and we said, hey, we featured this beer on our show. We'd love to do something, work out a deal with you guys for, sponsorships. And they said, we're really honored that you featured this beer on your show. We can't do sponsorships right now, but as a thank you, we would like to send you a 6-pack of their Top Cutter IPA. So I gave them my address, and about 1 week later, sure enough, a box appeared on my front porch, and it was a 6-pack of the Top Cutter IPA from Bale Breaker Brewing Company. So I split it 50-50 with my right-hand man, Travis T-Bone Lawfully, and that is what we are going to be drinking tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. Top Cutter IPA.
Yes, sir. Drinking the exact same thing tonight. Man, this is really nice can art as well, too.
Oh,
I feel like it's very unique. It's got almost that like canvas portrait kind of look to it here. And yeah, let's open these up and
let's do it. And
while I'm going to go ahead and actually read here just kind of some of the stuff on it. So
you do that.
Our brewery, find us in a unique location for a brewery on our family's hop farm in the heart of America's hop country. We assume that they're talking about none other than the Yakima Valley up in central Washington. So yes, this is the Bale Breaker Brewing Company here, the Top Cutter IPA, 6.8% alcohol by volume, 12 fluid ounces, 70 IBU.
Yep, this 75% of all U.S. hops come from the Yakima Valley. That's a crazy fact right there. 75%, that's a lot of the hops. Basically, it has a monopoly on all the hops. And you got to know it's great. I have had this beer before. My dad and I had 2 of the 6. So I have had it, but it's been a long time since I've had this. But this is right up our alley, Travis. This is West Coast IPA, and I cannot wait to have this because this is supposed to be the cream of the crop when it comes to
Yes,
West
I've heard
Coast.
nothing but good things about this one. So my expectations are sky high here.
Sky high.
As I let the head settle here, the fizz go down a little bit.
You got the mason jar?
Yes, sir. Got the mason jar like usual.
Yes. I am drinking it out of a small glass, Austin Beer Works. So I'm repping the local brewery. I got to feature one of their beers at some point. It's a really good brewery. I will feature them at some point. But how's the nose, Trav? What do you think?
Ooh, it's really got, I don't know about you, but I can tell those mosaic hops are like
dang,
there at the beginning. It's
they are so pungent.
I'm going to see what the note's going to be like now. So let's go ahead and take a drink and
let's do it. Dang. Those hops, man.
The hops, all the notes on they're right up there at front as they go back down as you're taking a swig. Nice and chilled. Just got such a bold flavor to it. They're
so unique.
Can you tell like it's almost got a little bit of like a malty note to it as well too? Yes, like it's got like the tiniest little bit of malt of almost kind of like something that you would expect. Something that's it's really at like the forefront, oddly enough, of like a porter or a stout. You get like a hint of that kind of on the back.
Seriously,
end. It's really unique.
I love the flavor because I mean, I've had a lot of IPAs, but the flavor on this is so unique. It's just the hops they get from this place. It's just, they're unlike any hops I've ever had.
I can tell there's a little bit of wheat kind of in it as well. I just get a little bit of that note there. I mean, because it comes obviously from farming country, which is Central Washington there. So there's that influence with it as well.
It's refreshing. It's got good flavor, great aftertaste. It's got a good, punch at the beginning. It rides all the way to the end. It is just a well-crafted IPA, hands down. But it all comes down to, T-Bone, what rating are you giving it?
Oh, man. I'm going there. This is my first 10 out of 10 beer that I've ever given a rating for on No Doubter. This is a 10 out of 10 IPA drinking experience here. Just the diversity of all the notes that come with this here, the strong mosaic nose and kind of forefront that the beer gives you there. It's just, if you love hops, if you love IPAs, friends, type Google the name of this place, the Bale Breaker Brewing Company. Look for
Top Cutter IPA.
For their Top Cutter IPA, and see if you can put in an order and get some shipped to you. Or maybe if you're up around the Pacific Northwest, if you're traveling there sometime soon, ask your bartender if they've got it there. Because whichever way possible, legally, obviously, you need to get this beer in your hands. It is that good.
Yep. I'm giving it 10 out of 10 too. I'm going to do it. This is the second beer I've ever given a 10 out of 10 to. Other one is close to Houston, but I mean, and you got to take this with what it is. Trav, you and I both love West Coast. And if you love West Coast, this is it. I mean, it truly doesn't get much better than this. I mean, there's going to be other 10 out of 10s out there, but they're going to be few and far between. But you cannot go wrong with this. Bale Breaker Brewing Company, Top Cutter IPA, Yakima Valley, the heart of all of the hops. And as we cap off this segment, we want to thank Bale Breaker Brewing Company. Thank you for the free beer. We really do appreciate it. They're not sponsoring the show, but they did give us this 6-pack. So we appreciate you guys so much. You guys are legit and awesome and deserve all the praise in the world. And we want to encourage our audience to please drink responsibly.
Always the only way to do it, no doubt way.
Are you? Did you not pour it all the way in, or are you just downing it?
I'm just downing it, man. This thing is. I've got a little bit left here. I mean, it's not the biggest mason jar in the world. But no, I'm really enjoying this one. This one's hard to sip on because it's that good. It's like, oh, I want some. Oh, I want more. I want more. It's just
dang. Yeah. Well, let's just say, the news that we're going to talk about, it's one where you're going to need a little bit of a drink because of your team, but
yeah. I'm more so I'm pouring one for brighter days ahead for the Texas Rangers here. That's how I feel about
celebrating it. But before we even get to that, we have to start off our recaps like we always do with no doubter of the week. And this one, we got to give it. It's like in the home run derby where they had the sympathy old man pick. We have to give a sympathy old man pick
to the machine.
To the machine. But
the man who I had the audacity to put in the most overrated players of all time because he had to go somewhere.
He had to go somewhere. We're gonna make sure.
The more as time passes on, the more I revel in just being a complete bumbling fool on that one.
Oh man. Well, here's what he has to say about that. It is Cardinals Brewers division rivals. Cardinals up 3-2, man on first and second, bottom of the eighth, 2 outs. And here goes boom. That classic swing that we all know and love. 443 feet. Boom. Absolute no doubter. 3-1 bomb. Albert Pujols, baby. He is approaching 700. That was his second homer of the game. Approaching 700 home runs. Don't quite know if he'll make it, but there is always a chance. I will get his accurate count. I think it's 689. I don't know if he's hit any since then. But let's get it one more time. Boom. I mean, it's just a nice level swing off a 94 mile an hour. I believe it's a fastball. That's deep. Man. Congratulations to the machine making his appearance on the show. Some more stats on that. He hit it off a 94 mile an hour sinker. And I'm going to look up his home run count because... All right. If it is, and it is 689. Yep. So 11 home runs in 6 weeks. He has to hit more than 1 home run per week. He has to basically hit 2 home runs every week here on out to break it. I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb and say he's not going to do it. but I mean, you never know. He is the machine. He could, I don't know, they could just give him a Roy's exemption or something like that. Oh no. And this is off the show. Oh my gosh. So as we wait for my compatriot Travis to come back on, Albert Pujols, no doubter of the week. Congratulations to Albert Pujols. He's 11 home runs away. His stats are relentless. So glad he's in. So glad that he joined us. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the scene as my co-host comes back on. The rapture just happened, guys. He just got raptured. Or, whatever you want to call it. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Fernando Tatis Jr.'s 80-game suspension while I wait for Travis T-Bone Lawley to rejoin the show. So, one of the best and brightest stars of the game, Fernando Tatis Jr. got suspended 80 games for using performance-enhancing drugs. Ladies and gentlemen, he tested positive for clostebol. Totally butchered that, but it's okay. It is a performance-enhancing substance in violation of Major League Baseball's Joint Drug Prevention and Treatment Program. It is a performance-enhancing drug. It's been used by athletes all over the world. It is on the lower end of performance enhancement, but it enhances performance nonetheless. The suspension is effective immediately. It was a big... It's all about a big mistake. I mean, because Tatis says quote, "It turns out that I inadvertently took a medication to treat ringworm that contained clostebol." Now, and he said, "I should have used the resources available to me in order to ensure that no banned substances were in what I took. I failed to do so." You know, ultimately, it just comes down to immaturity on his end. Because you look at Tatis, Fernando Tatis, he had that bike incident. He's a young guy. I don't what is he, 22 or 23? He's got a huge mega contract for the Padres. So he's got that going for him. So strike one for the bike incident. And this is strike two, 80 games. So he was on the verge of coming back 80 games. And so he's going to miss all the rest of the games of the season. This suspension is going to go into next season. And it's just, it's a shame. Is one of the faces of baseball. You know, I know Shohei Ohtani's probably the current face of baseball, but Tatis, he was on the cover of MLB The Show. He was second in MVP last year, and it's just it's really unfortunate. And it's just he's a young kid, but age is just a number, guys. Just because you're young doesn't mean you have to be stupid with these decisions. There are plenty of people who have been as young as he is who have made smart decisions. Look at Derek Jeter. And I've watching the Derek Jeter documentary. The guy was young, drafted out of high school. He was mature beyond his years. So it's not automatically going to be indicative of your level of maturity. And people love Tatis because he flips the bat and he plays around a little bit, but it's a downfall. This guy's got to get it together because it's embarrassing. The Padres, they won the trade deadline, and people were waiting for it. Imagine, guys, Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, Josh Bell, Josh Hader. I mean, I don't want to face that. I mean, the Astros facing that, good luck, because they're hot. You're screwed. But now it all comes to nothing. So, I mean, I'm disappointed. My co-host Travis is trying to log back onto the show, but I'm disappointed. Tatis, baseball is better when Tatis is in the game because he's so electrifying. He is so electrifying. And it's just a shame. Baseball doesn't need this. It doesn't need this to happen. Now, before Trav comes on, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, he's 80 games for him, but none for the Astros players." You know, I can understand where you're coming from. In the Astros cheating scandal, they had a deal of anonymity. You could say that they didn't have to do that, and you probably could have gotten enough information out. It might not have been as candid or conclusive, but at this point, you got to move past the Astros cheating scandal if you're going to be mad about that. But I saw a little bit of that on Twitter. It's going to come up no matter what. You're going to have people suspended one game, even, which happened to another player recently. But you got to get over it at some point. But for now, it is all about Tatis Jr. missing time. So it is a shame. It is a shame. I'll get Travis's quick thoughts when he comes back on. But moving on, before I get to the Ranger stuff, because I definitely want Trav on when that happens. Joey Votto has announced that he's having season-ending surgery for a rotator cuff tear this Friday. You know, Joey Votto is awesome. It's unfortunate that he's having to do this, but the Reds are 18 and a half games back. I mean, I think it's perfectly fine for him to do this. The Reds have zero chance. They are 46 and 70. That's pathetic. I'm sorry. That's really, really bad. So Votto is like, screw it. I'm going to go ahead and do the surgery because our team's useless. So I don't blame you for doing that at all, Joey Votto. You're a star. You're awesome. You're crushing it on TikTok. So, but it is unfortunate because the game is better with him there. The game is better when everybody's there. I mean, you don't want anybody to miss out on it. So, Joey Votto, you will be missed for your TikToks. You can't. I guess he can still do the TikToks from afar. So, now as Travis continues to get on, I'm going to talk about the Field of Dreams game. It was the Reds versus the Cubs. The Cubs ended up winning, I believe, 4-0. But there is some facts about the Field of Dreams game that I have to bring up. T-Bone!
I'm back.
I did the best I could.
Appreciate you holding down the fort here. My internet decided that now we didn't need to broadcast the podcast right now, but I'm like, yeah, screw you. So I'm I'm restarting and getting back on. So I'm back.
I did the best I could. And
Where are we at?
So I already covered Tatis and Votto. So I've already covered those. But just your instant thoughts on Tatis getting suspended, one of the faces of baseball, out for 80 games. What do you think?
Just man, like what a wild turn of events.
Yeah.
And I mean, goodness, the Padres just cannot catch a break, seemingly on anything here. It's like it's just a constant shuffling of deck chairs for this team here as the boat rocks back and forth. Yeah, it's a tough situation for sure. Have the opportunity to be the face of baseball. This happens here. You've got a big old black eye now on your reputation, your record with this. Yeah, it's hey, it is what it is at this point. He's got to serve it, and he's got to ultimately, it's going to happen through the rest of the year. He'll come out on the presumably he's going to have a few games as well too at the beginning of next year that he's going to have to serve as part of the suspension. I would assume here. There's it's going to be part of this. So yeah, it's a tough deal all around, but hey, the rules are the rules, and he did not follow them. So
he's got to grow up, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be smart. It's going to be a hard lesson to learn. The Padres won the trade deadline, and I was saying, like, everyone's getting excited for Juan Soto, Tatis, Manny Machado, Josh Bell. I mean, that's stupid, crazy offensive power. But now they're short Tatis, and his teammates didn't have good things to say about him. They're just like, this guy's got to grow up. We're just going to move on. They've been doing it without him this whole time. So they're still in the wild card race. They can still legitimately make the playoffs. And I mean, Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Josh Hader, one of the best closers in baseball. So they still do have a pretty legitimate chance. But Tatis would just give him that much little bit of edge.
Yeah. It just sucks for it to happen right now because, I mean, this is just, it's a distraction for the entire team. I mean, it's a distraction in terms of like messing with clubhouse chemistry, what the media attention is going to be for this team because of this. It just, it takes the focus away from the game of baseball itself, and you're having to deal with this player personnel matter instead here. That's making national news, and yeah, it's a tough deal all around for this clubhouse and the pretty talented group of guys that are still there right now.
Absolutely. We're gonna save the Rangers for last, but I'm gonna briefly touch on the Field of Dreams game, the second ever Field of Dreams game. Took place last Thursday, Reds versus the Cubs. They did change that up a little bit. Last time it was Kevin Costner. It was White Sox versus Yankees. It was an epic game. It drew a lot of attention. Viewers, shall I say, 5.9 million viewers. It was one of the highest rated regular season baseball games in history. This time, however, at the early game, everybody comes out of the corn and they have Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. play catch. They really focused on the father-son dynamic. They did not copy last time, which was great. You don't want to copy it exactly. They did put a spin on it, and I thought it was cool. But the viewership was significantly low. It averaged a 1.7 rating with 3.10 million viewers on Fox. That is down nearly half from last year's Yankees-White Sox game. And which was 5.9 million viewers. So, I mean, you have two teams that are like upwards of 16, 18 games behind. They're not
the Reds don't have a national reach as a team there. I mean, they're a very regional team there of like people, that are around that Cincinnati area, that Southern Ohio, the Northern Kentucky area there. That is the Reds fan base there. I mean, the Cubs, the Cubs were media darlings several years back when they won the World Series. But I mean, that team is full on rebuilding mode right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like as beloved as the Cubs are, the reality is that the attention to baseball right now is not on the city of Chicago. It's just not. It's like they're neither team this year from there is good enough really to pull that sort of eyeballs. So yeah, it did not ultimately have the pull this year that you had with the game last year. I don't think it was a matter of because you're doing the Field of Dreams game again. It's not. Yeah, they didn't just copy and paste like the script and how things played out with it. In terms of the presentation and production of it from one year to the next, they had these little things that were different with it. I think that's the way you do something that is like a theme game like that to kind of help it not have to live in the shadow of what you did with it the first time around. That said, I mean it's ultimately at this point around now people are tuning in for the quality of the the game itself, and you're just not really getting that with the Cubs or the Reds this year. So it's how it turned out.
It is. They wanted to go with teams that were close to Dyersville, Iowa, and I can understand that. But here's the thing: it was still the most viewed regular season game this year so far. It is the most viewed regular season game. So when you think of it in that terms, yeah, a lot of people watched it. No more people. No, there's been no more larger audience to any other regular season game this year. But when you compare it to last year, that's when the comparisons happen. And so far, we don't know if they're going to continue this. But if they do, let me be clear: they have to. They just have to shamelessly have better teams. The Yankees have already been in, so I mean they could do Yankees Red Sox. That's the most obvious attention grab there is. They should just do Dodgers Giants. And I mean, I know it's two California teams, but you got the rivalry. I'm just saying that's one option. Or I mean, you can pick two competitors. You can do Cardinals Brewers. You can do it in division. Oh, you can. Well, I mean, I keep going back to the Yankees, but they've already done it. I mean, you can do Mets Braves. You can do. I don't know. I'm just trying to.
Astros Mariners.
True. If you want to, yeah, if you want to keep it in division, that just. I mean, it is cool. They need to do more neutral site uh, games like this and try to do it. It's because it is worth the effort. But I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch any of the Field of Dreams games?
I did not. I've had such a crazy month work wise that that some of it is kind of bleeding over into the evenings, and then just taking care of other
Yeah.
odds and ends right now around the house. It's like, oh yeah, I'm like on my couch. It's like, oh yeah, the game is happening
Yeah.
next. Like it's just kind of it
Next.
didn't really pass my mind this year.
Yeah, just you know, yeah, commend MLB for trying something new, but at the end of the day, it might just be a dying trend because you can only change it up so many times. And now, the moment everyone's been waiting for, gonna get your input, Travis T-Bone Lawley, on the cleaning house of your beloved Texas Rangers. Let's take this
Yes.
one step at a time. So the first axe to fall was manager Chris Woodward. Oh, Chris Woodward, no longer the manager of the Texas Rangers. They fired him amid a season of dissatisfactory progress, despite the investment of more than $500 million guaranteed dollars to the free agent market. Oh, man.
Racked up a 211 and 287 win-loss record over a course of 3.5 years. First came on with this team back in 2019, replacing Jeff Bannister, previously at the skipper position there. Never had a finish in the AL West better than third place, coming off of two straight fifth place last finishes in the AL West over the past couple of seasons. And yeah, made the big investment, obviously, into this team this year. Once again, they were trending back in the right direction. But I think it wasn't the right fit ultimately for him to continue to be here any longer. I mean, yeah, it's interesting that they would give him the axe right now, but that is baseball is a performance related business. Things are wheels often get in motion for different decisions. Long before we ever consider them being happening, I think this was happening for a while, and they just decided to go on ahead and pull the trigger on it and make it happen here. I think thank Chris for his service ultimately to the Rangers over the past several years. I just don't think they ever really developed an identity kind of around him, and like there was no in close games or like high energy type of settings within the game that they would ever feel like there was a killer instinct with the team under Chris Woodward. It's well documented. The record this year in 1-run games has been absolutely atrocious. They've had a handful of wins in those regards, a whole bunch of losses that way outnumber the wins that came with it in those type of situations. Just those type of things you can point to. It's like, okay, these matters related performance here warranted dismissal for him. So, the Rangers on Monday made that call coming off of a 2-1 series win over the Seattle Mariners. That was Monday. The ownership group and John Daniels, who was still with the team at that time, both were in on the decision there and having a conversation with him. John Daniels' statement read, "We did not come into the season thinking we had put together a championship roster. We thought we'd taken a major step forward in talent from where we were a year ago. We've certainly had aspirations maybe to overachieve some and still do have those, but we were and continue to be realistic about where we are. That said, we did think that we'd be better than our record and better than the way we've played at times," end quote. And general manager Chris Young has a statement regarding it. "I think it's just the overall structure, the environment. It's not necessarily the content of the preparation, but the way it's utilized, the way we utilize meetings, the way we utilize different resources throughout the day, creating a structure that's really tailored towards winning a game every single day when we come in." And we feel like at times that got a little loose. You heard the decisions, heard the reasoning ultimately that was made here by the brass in charge over at the Texas Rangers. Tony Beasley, right now, previously the third base coach for the Rangers, now is stepping into the interim role. He is a longtime figure in Major League Baseball. 1989 19th round draft pick of the Baltimore Orioles. Played a little bit of time in Major League Baseball. Spent a few years in the early 2000s as a minor league manager, and for almost 20 years now has been involved as a third base coach in Major League Baseball. 2006 was with the Washington Nationals. The 2008 through 2010 was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then from 2015 to now, he's been with the Rangers. So both under Jeff Bannister and Chris Woodward's leadership, he steps in now as the interim manager. So it'll be interesting to see if this is almost a sort of audition possibly for a permanent managerial role here. A guy that has been around the game a really long time. You evaluate his performance. You see, not knowing how does I think when you're looking and seeing if a guy like this is a fit for taking the interim tag off when it's all said and done, and being given the full-time role, is you're not just monitoring and evaluating what the performance is like on the field. You are seeing, comparative to those statements about the culture and everything from somebody like Chris Young, how does it look day to day inside the clubhouse, in preparation. You're looking at those things just in the general culture of the organization that they try and do their best to mold over this last month and a half of the season, and see, hey, is this ultimately a good fit for making the move up to full time? And you take a look at that total package, and hey, Tony Beasley might just be the answer in that regard. But certainly the Rangers, they've been doing a lot of building over a long period of time here to get to being back to being a more competitive organization. And and I think they think that they're not far off from being back more in that picture of the wild card at least. And so they want to see, hey, who is ready to come in and maximize the talent the best they can at this point in time. So yeah, I like I said, giving my thoughts there on Woodward. There, I think he's a great guy. I just don't think that there was ever really a definitive culture that was built here over the course of 3.5 years with the Rangers, and the as it is, leadership decided that it was time to make a move. So yeah, Tony Beasley is at the helm now, has a 1-1 record so far.
There you go. Yeah.
As a manager. Right now, it's looks like we're in the 6th inning with the A's sitting on top 3-1 right now. A little more time to go, but I'm interested to see what he can really work out of this team.
Yep. And then earlier today, the second axe fell. We're talking about president of baseball ops, John Daniels is gonzo. This is arguably more interesting because I know a lot of Rangers fans who despise this man. I know Rangers fans, Travis, who say that John Daniels is the biggest problem on the Rangers. And as a Ranger fan yourself, I am very interested to hear your thoughts on
John Daniels has a ginormous ego, that is for sure. And he is he's been around Major League Baseball now. I mean, he's been with the Rangers now for 20 years. He had when he first got into baseball on the executive side of things, had a very short stint with the Rockies back in 2001. He actually had an internship with them at that period of time. But then he got into the Rangers organization back in 2002, shortly after their 2008. I believe, it was 2008. He was 2006, I think, actually. He was the youngest when he was named GM of the Rangers.
28 years old.
Yeah, 28 years old, the youngest in Major League Baseball at that time. He's an Ivy League grad of Cornell, grew up in New York City. Not somebody who played baseball himself. But he had, this is in the middle of 6 straight losing seasons here. Here he's been involved in a lot of moves, but I think he's been also just not, I think, always the most attentive to the short term kind of best for a team, and really kind of takes control on a lot of things. And just that the Rangers structure of how things are done in their front office are really interesting too, just in terms of ownership, GMing, even ownership having a say over and really having oversight over the decisions and the culture made. It's the Rangers are another one of these DFW area sports teams that just their structure of how they do things sometimes is very interesting. So I think it was time for a change. JD needed to leave.
It's better times ahead. Y'all's offense is good. You got Seager, Simeon, Adolis Garcia. Your offense can, it can contend with the best. You got pitchers coming up. The future is bright, and turn these one losses into wins, then boom, we're looking at a completely different landscape for the Texas Rangers, everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for you guys. It is so the right move. It just guys got to get beat. Rangers have got to be good again. I mean, they just do, and I think it'll happen. I always joke about, we'll see it in 10 years. I'm thinking it's more like 5. I think this will be a massive turning point for the Texas Rangers. I think they can build off of it. I mean, yeah, they did dedicate a lot of money last year. So a lot of money is not necessarily smart money. And so you don't know how their minor leagues are going to pan out. You don't know what the farm system is. You don't know what the international draft situation is, or what players they're getting from Cuba or the DR. But still, I just have a hunch that it's going to happen. So Happy for you guys. Change is tough, but let's just hope that is all worth it. So, man, it's just I'm glad we delayed it because we wouldn't have talked about John Daniels if we did the show yesterday. So, but now we do. So it all happens, man. Tatis, Texas Rangers, Field of Dreams. It's all so much. But then we gotta turn our attention to the here and now, the division recaps. So, keeping it brief, let's just do what we usually do. Let's go division by division. Let's find out what's happening in the world of baseball. T-Money, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Absolutely. So we'll start with the American League East here, as we always do. And friends, the New York Yankees are showing that they might just be human.
Ooh.
Because they're in the middle of going 2-8 over their last 10 games and in the middle of a 3-game losing streak right now. And that means that they no longer hold the best record in all of the American League. That now belongs to the Houston Astros, and we'll get to them later on. But right now, the Yankees are not trending in the right direction. What has happened with them? They've already right now they've racked up a series loss to the Rays. Before that, they had a series loss at the Red Sox, series loss at the Mariners, swept by the Cardinals, and a series loss versus the Mariners. Ever since, basically, the offense has started to go quiet. The bats are cold right now. It may still be August, but those bats are more like December cold at this point right now. There. I mean, you look at some of these losses: 3-1, 4-0, 3-0, 3-2, 4-3, 1-0, 12-9. I guess that's kind of the outlier in terms of an offensive explosion there. At the end of the Cardinals series, just pitching didn't show up there. 1-0, 4-3. There. I mean, you look at just the offense has not been good over the past couple of weeks right now. There you're going to want to see that come back right now. I think the Yankees are kind of doing a little bit of roster shuffling right now, trying to get a spark there. But they still sit with a 9-game lead here. I mean, we saw it this time last year that some stories changed very quickly in terms of where teams sat in the standings and with momentum and where their placement was. Ultimately, whether them was winning the division or the wild card, how that's set up in the bracket. So 9-game, still holding that 9 and 9.5 game lead respectively over the Rays and the Blue Jays right now in this division. But the Yankees are going to want to. The Yankees don't want to just tiptoe weekly into the month of October here. They're going to want to figure this out. They're not going to want to just sit like a 500 or slightly worse type of team, that's over the next month and a half that still wins their division, but just doesn't look like the same team that we've seen through the first 3 quarters of the season here. The Yankees are going to want to figure this out quick because we know that the Rays and the Blue Jays as well both have some talent and some firepower there, offensively and just and good pitching as well. But some of these issues that the Yankees are showing that could be really detrimental come the month of October.
There you go. New York Yankees, they're starting to be human, and yet they still have a 9-game lead over the Tampa Bay Rays, who continue to impress. The Rays, you can just perpetually never ever count them out. But the Baltimore Orioles, man, they're impressing everybody. The Red Sox are not that far behind either. Blue Jays continue to hang in there, but man, oh man, it is still the Yankee show. You just gotta hope that they can just work up some magic. I highly doubt they're going to give up that lead in the division, but it's just funny. It's frankly funny to see them dwindle. But do you know who is not dwindling? It is a team from Queens, just a few miles away. The New York Mets are 3.5 games ahead of the Braves in the NL East. East. And the Mets, they've won 7 of their last 10. They've lost 2 in a row. But the Braves, man, oh man, oh man, the Braves are on an 8-game win streak. They are closing the gap oh so quickly. Now, it's been a song and dance between these two teams. Braves have the Mets have really been in the lead the entire time. The Braves have closed the gap pretty close, and the Mets pulled away. And now the Braves are starting to come back. So there's an ebb and flow action going on between these two stellar teams. And it's a complete package, really. But I still think the Mets have the edge. DeGrom, Scherzer, Edwin Diaz, one of the best closers in all of baseball. I mean, I really haven't given this guy his true due. Edwin Diaz has a 0.87 whip, 1.33 ERA, 17.9 strikeouts per 9. That's stupid crazy. I mean, that's over double basically what Chris Bassett has. It's more than Scherzer, it's more than DeGrom. I mean, it's just Showalter's doing great over there. You just think there's something different about this team. I have a lot of hope in them. But the Braves are defending the title well. You got Charlie Morton, who's starting to really dial it in. He had a solid outing the other day. Max Fried is stellar, as always. And then there's a plethora of guys. The Braves have been doing really good. They are just locking their stars in. They locked in Michael Harris for like $73 million. They are locking in their young talent. They've locked in Olsen. They've locked in Riley, Dansby Swanson. They've locked in Michael Harris. I mean, they got to lock in Acuna now because, I mean, that guy's still producing pretty significantly, but it's good to see a race between these two. The Phillies, while they're 10 games back, they do have a wild card. Aspirations. So you definitely have to talk about them. Bryce Harper is on his way back, ladies and gentlemen, coming back from the brink. And when he does, if this team sneaks into the wild card, watch out, everybody. But let's check in on Bryce Harper. As of today, he took a round of batting practice and will do so again later this week before potentially beginning a minor league rehab assignment next Tuesday. So he's on his way back, people. Get excited, Philadelphia. The reigning MVP is coming back, and you guys still have a chance. Because if we look at the regular standings, the wild card standings at least, if the season were to end right now, you would be in the wild card. You have a half-game lead over the Padres, so be happy, Philadelphia. Please smile, and you never smile about anything.
Yeah, it's continues to be a wild race there in the NL East. But, we're going to start making our way to the Central now.
Yes.
The AL Central, out to America's heartland right now. And there has been a changing of the guard, a changing of the Guardians, you might say, because the Cleveland Guardians now lead the AL Central now. They are 7-3 in their last 10 games. They've lost a couple in a row right now. But, for right now, they have that half a game lead over the Minnesota Twins and the 1-game lead over the Chicago White Sox. What right now is up with this Guardians team? They have the potential to split a series right now with the Tigers. Won the opener of that one 4-1, and then dropped the last two now 7-5 and 4-3. That game right now is at the bottom of the 8th. Right now, the Tigers are sitting on top 4-2. They won a series at the Blue Jays up north of the border. At the Tigers, swept them, split it with the Astros in Cleveland. Got a series win over the Diamondbacks. So they're certainly trending in the right direction, taking care of the teams that they should be, and also getting some good wins as well. Right there, just half a game behind. You have the Minnesota Twins, as I just talked about. Why are the Twins right now sitting half a game behind? Well, they're ultimately not doing horrible here. 5-5 over the last 10. Won 3 in a row. But it's just so tight here in the AL Central that you can't blink or things could change just like that. The Twins right now had a really nice outing the other day from Sonny Gray, got 10 strikeouts in the shutdown win over the Royals. You got just this team continuing to handle business all around like they have the entire year. Just once again, they just let up a little bit, and the Guardians snatched that top spot. But the Chicago White Sox, don't look now, folks. But these guys are on a 5-game win streak. They're not just this 500 team as we've been talking about all year. They're now 5 games over 500, which it just doesn't sound super impressive. But when we're talking about the White Sox as of this year, they just can't seem to break away from that like purely middle of the road mark here. But they're now 61 and 56 on the year at this point, 1 game behind the Guardians. The White Sox are actually playing the Astros right now in the series as we speak. That game is in the bottom of the 5th, with the Astros currently leading 3-2 right now. It's a close one here in the AL Central. And we will certainly talk more about the Astros here shortly as well. But not so sort of race right now. Just complete bananas in the AL Central.
Unlike last year, the AL Central is actually a competitive division. Last year, the White Sox ran away with it. I mean, they just never, ever relinquished the lead. But now, I don't even know what to make of it, man. Twins and the Guardians, they confuse the heck out of me. But in the end of the day, it makes it exciting. It makes it fun that there's some drama, chaos involved.
Yes.
I know, it's not predictable. And speaking of unpredictability, NL Central action, the Cardinals have a 2-game lead over the Brewers. Cardinals have won 7 of their last 10. Brewers have won 5 of their last 10. And it just, like, there's something different about the Mets. There is something different about the St. Louis Cardinals. They're digging deep. They have all the powerhouse in the world. Paul Goldschmidt, leading MVP candidate, baby. He's got a 1.030 OPS, 29 bombs on the year. I mean, this guy's going to win. No one else is going to win. I mean, this guy's got 618 slugging, 328 average. How do you do this? How? And this guy's, he's played 109 games. It's not like he's been out or taken many breaks. I have to marvel at that man. I don't know what has possessed him this year. On the pitching end, it's just as impressive. Nicholas, 3.44 ERA. Wainwright, 3.27 ERA. It just continues to plummet. These two is a 1-2 punch. It's super rock solid. Very impressive all the way around. The Brewers have lost Josh Hader, arguably the best closer in baseball, but they are still hanging tough, and they still have powerhouses. They still have got Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns is a distant second behind Sandy Alcantara for the AL Cy Young, or NL Cy Young, should I say. I will bring up Alcantara's numbers in a second, but Corbin Burns is still impressive. 2.39 ERA, 0.92 whip. Eric Lauer, 3.64 ERA, 1.21 whip. So, a pretty decent 1-2 punch on that end. I mean, it's just Cardinals. It seems like all the fun's happening over there. So I've just got to give the edge to the Cardinals until I see otherwise. I just think Hader going, I think that's going to do a number on the morale. I just think that Brewers, while they're still 2 games back, so, you can't say it's over till it's over, but it just seems like the Cardinals, they just have more going for them. And I got to go all the way back to the Marlins. Even though they are in the East, I just do have to give a quick reference to Sandy Alcantara, because I guarantee you guys, nobody picked him to win the Cy Young this year at the beginning of the year. Nobody even knew who this guy was. But this guy, his stats this year are absolutely ridiculously insane. This man, this year, so far, he has a 1.92 ERA, a 0.94 whip, 152 strikeouts, a 2.11 ERA plus, which means his ERA is over twice as good as the average pitcher. I mean, this guy, he's just pitching outside of his mind. He hasn't had an ERA below 3 in any of his other years prior to this. He had a 3 ERA in 2020, a 3.19 in 2021, but this time it's 1.92. I mean, we're talking, Bob Gibson caliber here. This guy's 26 years old. He's in his prime. He's going to win the Cy Young unless something crazy happens. So, Miami, you got a good one because, man, 23 and a half games back. You got to have someone to cheer for.
Yeah, it's this time of year you find what you can cheer for with your team if they're not in the running for things. I mean, they got some fun young pieces down there in South Beach, with guys like Jazz Chisholm and others, but there's a long road for that team to haul before they really get to being the possibility of being a top team in the NL East, in the national wait, what am I? I'm way off. You mentioned the Marlins. Sorry, I'm.
Yeah. I just had to give credit to Alcantara.
Yeah. But I mean, teams like the Marlins, the Cubs, the Reds, the Pirates. I mean, you find what you can to be excited about your teams this year, this time right now, because it's just it's the road is still a long rebuilding one for all of you guys. But with that in mind, we are going to start moving and finishing out at the West Coast. That means it's time to talk about the AL West. The Houston Astros continue to sit on top right now. They now hold the best record in all of the American League at 75-43 on the year right now. Dropped a couple of games now here in the Chicago series, including an interesting decision by none other than the manager, Dusty Baker, that I've been seeing all over with some of the Astros Twitter stuff that gets looped here into my feed here. Boom, can you break down what all the hubbub was here that in terms of a decision that Mr. Baker made at the end of the tough side of a loss to the Chicago White Sox just a couple of days ago?
Oh, man. He took responsibility for the loss. I think he took out Urquidy and he put in Montero. People are saying he should have had Urquidy finish the 7th. I mean, I'm well attuned to Astros Twitter. I think I've moved on from that game at some point. We've had tough losses because we've lost the first 2 of the 4 games against the White Sox, and they've been tough losses because we've choked basically. And the Astros Twitter is very interesting. They like to complain about the lineups. They like to complain about everything because it's easy to complain about stuff when your team is objectively awesome. And you have to find something to complain about because you're privileged. And, I'm just glad Dusty took responsibility for the loss when he pulled out Urquidy and put in Montero. Montero's a good reliever. I just think he wasn't executing. Stanek has been our lights out reliever. So you could have said that they should have put him in, but it's like, oh, well, they try to spread the load out. I just think we got unlucky, really, because Montero is rock solid. Without getting too much in the weeds on that, but bottom line is Astros are still really good. They have the best record in the American League, a 10.5 game lead over the Mariners, but we're just going to continue to be spoiled, us Astros fans.
Yep, sounds about right now, because that team is absolutely still stacked. Justin Verlander is going to be a free agent this offseason. It will be interesting to see what sort of decisions are made there. In terms like what do you do with a guy now that is getting into his early 40s and that is playing at such a high level of baseball level. Yeah, does this still go for a few more years? Do you sign him and just out of the blue 6 months down the road he is things just unfortunately completely collapse for him? Who knows here? But somebody's gonna have the fun job of making that decision.
Oh yeah,
here at some point. The Mariners right now currently sitting, sitting ultimately 10.5 games behind, but here in the race here for the AL West, but very much in it right now for the wild card. They actually lead that side of things. This, do they break the streak? Do they finally get back to the postseason? Things are trending in a good direction here. 7-3 in their last 10 games and a 3-game win streak right now. Yeah, Ty France, the first baseman, that slash line of 287, 358, 442. Eugenio Suarez, the third baseman right now, leading this team in both home runs and runs batted in at 20 and 63, respectively. Pitching wise here, Logan Gilbert, we've talked about him, and Robbie Ray as well, too. They're really holding things down. Cal Raleigh had a nice that was responsible for 2 of the 4 homers that the Mariners had in a win over the Angels the other day. Man, there's just there's some good talents in this team right now that, you look at them, like the Mariners are potentially one of those teams. If they get into the postseason, it seems like they could be a team that maybe does some damage, possibly in there as a wild card team. It would be fun to see them, but yeah, it's the Astros and Mariners show in that division right now. Other than that, it's for everybody else, it's try again next year.
Try again next year, including the Texas Rangers. But think about this next year. I was watching Josh Young.
Josh Young is absolutely killing it right now in Round Rock.
He is. He's mashing bombs, baby. He's coming up. Jack Leiter, Kumar Rocker. The future is bright for Arlington, and we will have to catch a game next year. Mark my words, when Josh Young gets promoted, I want to see. I do want to see him in person. We can
absolutely.
We can wear our Texas Tech gear. We can cheer him on. So
love it.
Oh man, the grass is always greener on the other side. But then we're gonna wrap things up with the NL West with the Los Angeles Dodgers. They have a whopping 16.5 game lead over the Padres. They've won 8 of their last 10. I call it the Joey Gallo effect. Joey Gallo has hit multiple home runs as a Dodger, so I mean, hey, it's not entirely without merit. But they have a plus 250 run differential. They are, I mean, spoiler alert, they're the best team in baseball. So, I mean, it's not even close. It's Dodgers are going to Dodger. They have 80 wins. The second closest team, it's a tie between the Mets and the Astros. But the Dodgers, they're so good. Walker Buehler is going to be out for the rest of the season. That is a huge bummer. But besides that, their rotation is sick. I mean, they have 4 people with ERAs below 3. Tyler Anderson, 2.81. Urias, 2.40. Gonzalez, 2.24. Kershaw, 2.64. You have a 1-2-3-4 punch. I mean, that's stupid. Teams are lucky to have one person with a sub 3. You have 4 of them. That's not fair at all. I mean, that's it. And I mean, but it goes well beyond that. You got Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Will Smith, Gavin Lux. It's endless. It is endless for this team. It's just every one of those guys are insane. They have OPSs above 800. Freddie Freeman's got a 922 OPS and is batting 320. Trey Turner 306. I mean, it's good to be a Dodger fan, even though you can't go all the way except for a Mickey Mouse ear. I'm going to stop looking at their stats because I'm just going to be blown away the whole time. Padres, they are still in the wild card hunt. They have the stars. They won the trade deadline. If the season were to stop today, they would win the wild card. They have a 1.5 game lead over the Brewers for that wild card spot. It is totally doable. And I have faith in the Padres that they can make a splash. I mean, their rotation is solid. They have Josh Hader, who he can be fixed. He is not. He's well still within his prime. And your offense just has all the potential in the world. I mean, you look at their rotation It all starts with Joe Musgrove, 2.98 ERA, Yu Darvish, 3.40. It's starting to go down, down, down. And I mean, you got some good relievers too. Nick Martinez, rock solid. Clevenger, he's really dialing it in as well. He's got a 3.63 ERA. And of course, Josh Hader is Josh Hader. Offensive wise, it's going to be impressive. Because, I mean, come on. Soto, Machado, I mean, Josh Bell. Even without Tatis, it is endless. Jake Cronenworth, for crying out loud. Jurickson Profar. Everybody is stepping up because they want to represent America's finest city. And there we go. That we're at the hour and 5-minute mark. That wraps up the recaps. And then we're going to end off quickly with the newest and latest and greatest rankings. Blue Jays at number 10. They moved down 2 spots. The Rays continue to impress, so they are at number 9 because they're just on an absolute surge. Mariners going up as well in the number. They are at the number 7 spot because they're on a hot streak. Phillies still at number 6. The Cardinals. Well, guys, it's late. Blue Jays number 10. Rays number 9. Mariners number 8. Phillies number 7. Cardinals number 6. Yankees continue to go down, down, down. They are at the number 5 position. The Braves, they are oh so hot. They're at the number 4 position. And then the top 3 remain as is. Astros, Mets, Dodgers. That is it. I'm just glad the Yankees go down, you know. I mean, even though the Braves beat the Astros, they beat my Astros. I like it that the Braves are above the Yankees. I hope the Yankees keep going down, 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 below the Cardinals, below the Phillies, below the Mariners, whatever it takes for them to get out of here. So there you go. It was fun, guys. Thank y'all so much for joining us for this special edition of No Doubter. There was so much to talk about. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes week after week. We're gonna have guests come back on the show. We're gonna get our friends of the pod on. It's going to be awesome. Be sure to join us. Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, we are there. Leave us a 5-star review. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel so you can see our beautiful faces. So you can see the beverages that we drink, the visual component. You only get it when you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can see our beautiful faces and the faces of our friends at the pod. So be sure to join us there. If you've been listening to us for a while, please consider supporting us. $2, $5, $10 a month, whatever it is. It really does help us out. It helps us recoup our costs, and you become part of the No Doubter Club. I mean, the more you give, the more you get. Discounts on merch, chance to be interviewed on the show, shout outs, you name it. Longest standing patron is Tad Bostic and Patreon producer Don Hale. You two make this show possible. We cannot thank you enough. And last but not least, the merch store, guys. Get yourselves decked out. We got mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, baseball shirts, phone cases, anything that you want. It is all there for the whole family. Everything's in the description below. Trav, let's do this.
Friends, we are in the dog days of summer right now. We are heading down the home stretch here. The last month and a half of the regular season of the 2022 Major League Baseball season. The endurance is being tested right now. The body is being worn down. The spirit, may at times feel close to being broken. This may be a reflection of your own personal lives as well. But we have faith in you, No Doubter Nation. We believe that you're going to find the strength from within to bat 400 and always swing for the fences in all that you do. We love you guys, and we will